Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Who's watching? Who do we have here? Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know where you're watching from. I'm glad you're here. As you can see by the title, we're going to be talking about Queen and Slim. I just came back from the movies and I'm shooketh to my core. And I wanted to talk about it. So, hi, Jasmine from Florida. Have you seen the movie yet? If not, there's going to be some spoilers in here. I'm just giving you guys an FYI now. But this is going to be like a movie review / a mukbang because I'm hungry and I have some food here. So, yeah, this is different from my channel. But I just came from the movies and I am so moved by what I just saw on that screen that I just have to talk about it. Like, I have to talk about it. And I was like, this is the perfect time to do a mukbang or mukbang, whatever it's called, and to just chat with you guys. So thank you for tuning in. If you're just joining, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you've seen the movie. Yeah, I'm going to be eating at the same time. So I guess I'll tell you guys what I'm eating if you're curious. I just came from P.F. Chang's and I ordered the shrimp lo mein, and I've had this too many times. I don't even want to admit how many times I've had this recently, but this chili sauce that they serve with it is so good. So I'm gonna have that. This feels weird because I've never done a mukbang type of thing. Hi, Lene, thank you for watching. So hopefully it's not weird watching me eat, but I've watched mukbangs before. And is it mukbang or mukbang? I've watched them before and I personally enjoy them. It's something very comforting about like sitting with someone while they're eating. Like, it almost feels like you're together, just like having a meal. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm weird. But I've watched them before. Oh, you're baking your turkey. Oh yes, Thanksgiving is tomorrow. It's weird. It doesn't feel like Thanksgiving is tomorrow for me because I'm away from family. I'm about to chow down. You don't have to tell me twice. But yeah, this chili paste is everything. I'll tilt this down so you guys can see. This feels so weird. Like, who wants to see this? I don't know. If you guys don't want to see me eat, you can let me know in the comments. And I mean, I might still eat because I'm hungry, but you know, helpful. It's helpful information, you know, to at least know if you're not feeling it. But something about it to me, we had oxtails for dinner. That sounds good. I don't even eat meat anymore. I just eat seafood. But I've never had, not never, I haven't had oxtails in a really long time. So have you guys seen the movie yet? I know it just came out today, so you probably didn't. But thank you for tuning in anyway, even if you haven't seen the movie. This movie is called Queen and Slim. So that's what I'm about to talk about. It looks good, right? It doesn't look as good as it tastes. It's so good, though. It's not that hot. I like my food really, really hot. Do you guys like your food really, really hot or like warm? I like my food really, really hot, and this is not hot. This is like warm, but I like to see steam. Like, if I don't see steam, I like spicy too, which is why I just poured all that chili pepper on top. But it's like, I like it spicy and hot. Yes, temperature hot. This is not hot enough. Un momento. I'm going to go put this in the microwave really quickly. Bear with me, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so for those who are just joining, this is kind of like a mukbang slash a review of the movie Queen and Slim. Now, I literally just left the movies, right? So I know a lot of times when people do reviews of stuff, they're like very well researched. This is not going to be a well researched video. This is literally just my thoughts because I literally just left. So if you have not seen the movie, I will give you like a quick little snapshot of what it's about. So I knew as soon as I saw it as soon as I saw the trailer, I knew that I wanted to watch this movie. But basically, Queen and Slim, I'm reading this from Wikipedia, is a 2019 American romantic drama film directed by Melina Mock. I can't pronounce her last name, but she's the director who does Insecure. She's also done a lot of really cool music videos, some Beyonce videos. If I'm not mistaken, she's actually like cousins or something. Like she's related to them somehow, or maybe they're just close friends. But I feel like she's related to Beyonce and Solange. And it was written by Lena Waithe, and it is a story by James Frey and Waithe. And basically the film stars Daniel, I can't pronounce his last name, which is the guy from Get Out, and then Jodie Turner-Smith, who is I want to say she's a model. Am I wrong, or is she a model? I feel like Jodie is actually a model before she's an actress. Let me look that up. Now I'm curious. Turner-Smith. Or what else has she been in? She's a model and an actress. Okay, that makes sense. So she's been in music videos, movies. I think I know her more as a model than as an actress. Now I'm curious though, what else was she in? Let's see. She's a British model and actress. So yeah, I don't know any of these movies that she's in. Not one of them. So I'm pretty sure the reason that I know her is from seeing her as a model. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? Jodie Smith and Daniel. Is it a drama? It is I would call it like a romantic drama. It is romantic, but it's also drama at the same time. But basically, it is about a couple. I take that back. Not a couple. It is about strangers who met on Tinder, and they are on a first date that goes terribly wrong. They're on a first date. The date was like, wasn't anything special. It was just like a very average first date. The woman, Jodie, was very kind of guarded. So she wasn't really kind of like letting him in. It kind of just seemed like she was out on a date with him simply because she didn't want to eat dinner alone. Like that's literally what she told him, is usually she eats dinner alone, and today she didn't feel like because she had a crappy day. And so it was almost like a pity date, or just like, I'm lonely, I want to go out with somebody date. So they're out on this date, and he's dropping her off home, and they get pulled over by the cops because she had his phone, like looking through his phone. First, it was like she's looking for the directions, but then she was like looking through, like, oh, you made a playlist, and they're like connecting over music and stuff. And then he reaches for the phone and kind of like swerves a little bit. And the cop, of course, appears out of nowhere. A white cop appears out of nowhere, and he is doing the most. The typical, all the things you can imagine when you think of the scenario of kind of just like Get Out, right? Where he got pulled over. Like, it's just that same dynamic, like that same energy where you feel tense. Like literally I felt tense and uncomfortable. Like I was experiencing trauma watching them go through that. But I'll share my thoughts in a minute. I just want to give you guys kind of like a recap of what the movie is about, if you haven't seen it or if you don't plan on seeing it. And then so the cop pulls them over. He's being hella aggressive for no reason. He's asking them all these questions. He want to search the trunk. And the woman, Jody, is actually an attorney. So she is kind of like, she's kind of clapping back a little bit at the officer because she's an attorney and what he's doing is wrong, but she also has the training to like know from a legal perspective that this is uncalled for. So she's trying to like enforce her knowledge in the situation, and it's escalating. So the guy is being very submissive, and he's being very respectful and following orders, but she is kind of inserting her knowledge into the situation, and it's causing it to escalate very quickly. So as you can imagine, the cop gets in his feelings and it gets heated, and before you know it, he's yelling at the guy to get down and to put his hands up. I'm gonna get to that on there. Yelling at the guy to put his hands up, and old girl gets out the car. She's still talking. Why are you arresting him? Why is he under arrest? Asking all these questions. The cop is getting more and more escalated. The guy's trying to keep everything calm. And then shots are fired. And Jody is shot in the leg. And then after that, Daniel then starts to, it's where I don't actually know their names in the movie because I feel like they don't really say their names that much in the movie. I'm guessing it's just Queen and Slim, but I'm using their real names. So Jody gets shot in the leg, and then Daniel is now wrestling the cop for his life because after he shot her, it's only going to continue to escalate. So he's like wrestling the cop. The cop is on top of him. The next thing you know, he's on top of the cop, and then suddenly the cop's gun has fallen out of his hand by this point. Daniel picks it up and then kills the cop. The cop is now dead. Now, this, mind you, this is a white cop. They are in, I can't remember what state they were in. I want to say it was like Wyoming or Ohio, or I said Ohio, Ohio, like somewhere kind of random and remote. So yeah, that happens. And I'm like stressed. Like literally, I am like stressed sitting in the movie theater. Everyone's stressed. We're all like, what just happened? Like, and so from there, they basically make a decision to go on the run. It wasn't like we're going to go on the run, but it was like, again, this woman is an attorney. So she's kind of like, right, wow. She's kind of like, we can't stay here. We can't turn ourselves in because we are going to become property of the state. Like if we turn ourselves in, we are going to just be guilty. We have no chance. And he was kind of like, well, what about our family? What about our friends? Like, can I call someone? And she was just like, we have to go. And she kind of had an estranged relationship with her family and like some issues with her mom and stuff, who had passed away. So she wasn't very close to her family. So she didn't have much. And she kind of expressed a little bit of that on the date. But he obviously was very close to his family. And it seemed like he was really close to his dad also. So he was like really uncomfortable with the idea of just leaving. But she basically convinced him that that was best, you know, and he agreed. So I want to kind of unpack this a little bit because when I tell you, I was literally like, it was just so many things that came up as I was watching this movie. And one of the topics that I put in the title is legacy, and the other one is struggle love. But there's so many other things that I want to talk about. So I guess just in general, no, I'll start with the topics first because I was going to say my general thoughts about the movie. I'll just go straight into the topics. So the first thing that Lene just picked up, just said was like, she should have shut her mouth. I'm not even gonna lie, I'm not even gonna hold you. The first like 5 minutes of the movie, I was irritated. Like when they were on the date, because she was portraying, like Jody is a beautiful model. She's this gorgeous, dark-skinned woman. I don't know which country she's from, but she's gorgeous, stunning, like giving me like Grace Jones vibes. But she just had like the cliche Black woman energy, like the angry, bitter, single, lonely Black woman, like typical. Like she's doing well in her career, but she's single and she's lonely and she's very snappy and very like being honest. And she just kind of like, when they were on the date, like he was just being friendly and she was just kind of like being so snappy with him. And I was just like, why is she being like this? Like, I get that, like, sometimes as Black women, we can be that way, right? Like, I can speak for myself, right? I know for a fact that I can be that way sometimes. Like my humor sometimes comes across as very sarcastic. And for people who don't know me or are getting to know me, they can think that like it's like too much sometimes in the beginning. But once you get to know me, you understand my humor is different. But it's like in the movie, it didn't seem like that was humor to her. It really just seemed like that was her personality, like just the sharp person that can be so blunt sometimes that it just makes you uncomfortable. So I was just like, sis, why are we being so rough? It's a first date. Like relax, like have fun, like ease up a little bit. Like he said, like, he said, like, can I do something? And she was like, can you? It was just like, he was like, okay, I understand, like, this is not school. I know how to speak proper English. And she's like, well, do you? Like, it was just a lot of that energy. Exactly. Tear you down with words. And I was just like, it just didn't feel necessary. But I get that they were trying to give you this perspective of the character. So I understand that. But I was just like, why do we have to portray another beautiful dark-skinned woman as this character? Like we see it all the time, and it's just like, okay. So that was kind of annoying to me, I'm not even gonna lie. And then the way the situation escalated with the cop, it honestly was a lot of her energy. It was like, she's intelligent, she's a lawyer, and she has this attitude about her that was displayed throughout the whole time that they were on the date. And then it's like, but there's like, I'm not justifying this cop's actions, or any cop for that matter, right? Because this is a very real situation. This movie, I think that's what made it so like triggering for me, was because it feels so real, right? It's like, I know it's a movie, but this is what happens every day to people that look like us. So I think what was so frustrating about it was like, granted, I've never been in a situation like that, right? And I'm not saying that it's ever our fault that these cops that they don't see value in our lives, and they decide to make a decision based upon their fear and feeling disrespected for whatever the case is, and making that decision. But I do feel like if you know that a situation is escalating, why not just try to comply a little bit so that you can save your life? You know what I mean? Like, I understand he was wrong, like dead up, he was wrong, but it's like, bruh, you literally hop out of the car while, exactly, pride. You hop out of the car while homeboy is like interrogating this guy you're on a date with. When does that ever go well, when you hop out of the car on a cop when he's already feeling tense? Like, just let him do what he's doing, right? Let him, he wanna search the vehicle without a warrant. Okay, the guy gave him permission to search the trunk. He literally said, sure, you can search the trunk. So let him just finish what he's doing, take your ticket, and leave. But instead, it was like she just had to insert her knowledge into the situation to the point where it kept escalating. And it's like, on one side, I understand where she's coming from because the cop was dead wrong. But on the other side, bro, do you love your life? Like, do you not love your life to the point where you can just like stop for a second to be like, you know what? This is wrong. This is messed up. But I know the outcome usually ends in one of us dying. Like, literally, there's no reasoning with someone that is that has a gun out and is ready to shoot, right? There's no reasoning with them. So at that point, once it's escalated, I just feel like you should have made a decision to say, I'm gonna put my pride to the side because I value my life. And she didn't do that. She just kept talking, and it was just getting me so frustrated because I was just like, yes, he's wrong, but sis, you meeting him with that same energy, that's not going to help the situation. You're literally meeting him with the same energy. That's not going to help. It's not going to help. So that was frustrating to see, right? And then after it happened, the guy actually said something to her that implied that he felt like it was kind of her fault too. He was like, had you stayed in the car? And she was like, oh, now it's my fault? Kinda, because you hopped out of the car being on buck, like, when really you could have just let this man search the vehicle, and although he was wrong, he would not have died. Y'all wouldn't have been on the run. Like, a lot of that could have been prevented had you stayed in the vehicle. So that was frustrating to watch. And it was frustrating because, again, this beautiful dark-skinned Black woman is being portrayed as the angry one, the aggressive one, the one that has to prove herself. And then shortly after that, I think it was like in a scene after that, the they were talking about her being a lawyer, and she was like, I'm excellent at my job. And the guy asked her, he was like, why do Black people always feel like they have to be excellent? Why can't we just be ourselves? And I was just like, bruh. Like, it's just so many layers to that. It's like, and I feel like in that moment when she hopped out the car, it was like her trying to prove her intelligence and to like step into this excellence, when it's like, sometimes I think you just have to put that to the side for the sake of the situation. Like, you know what I mean? Like, take a step back and think about, like, is this the time for that? Exactly. Wrong time, sis. Like, you could have been great in the courtroom. You could have been great afterwards. You know what I mean? Like, there were so many other ways that she could have gone about that, that I feel like she could have still exhibited her intelligence and her authority of being an attorney. But in that moment, she decided to enforce that. And it was just like, it created all this friction and all this tension. And then the situation blew up. So that was really frustrating. I'm not even gonna lie. The whole stereotypical single angry Black woman having to go above and beyond. It reminded me of that scene in Scandal when her dad, I think, was going off on her, on Olivia Pope, and he was like, as a Black woman, you have to work twice as hard as anyone else to prove yourself, yada yada yada. Like, it felt like that type of pride and that type of point that she was trying to make, which was very frustrating. Okay, so the next topic that I want to talk about is, I kind of talked on that. There's so many things. Okay, so let's go with let's talk about the struggle of, right? So when they first went on this date, like I said, it was very mediocre. You could tell she really wasn't feeling him like that. She was really just there kind of to fill time. And he seemed like he was like somewhat interested, but she just kind of was like not really interested at all. And then over time, you know, they're on this journey together. They're learning so much about each other, and they're building this bond, but it was like built in this struggle. And I think that's another narrative that we see so much with Black love, is like this foundation and struggle. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of one of my favorite movies, Poetic Justice. I don't know if you guys have seen that before, but where it's like Janet and Tupac, they kind of fell in love during this period of time where they were on the road together. Again, it's like that same kind of narrative. They're on the road together and they're struggling together, and they went from not really liking each other to kind of falling in love with each other, but through this struggle. And I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with that storyline, but sometimes I want to see something else, you know? Like, yes, her constantly drunk friend, right? Super problematic. The abusive boyfriend with the friend. And it was like, that's how their bond formed, was through the toxicity of her friend's relationship. Because even when she went on the road trip with Tupac and the guy, it was like her friend's idea. She was like, oh, come on, let's come with me. Like, my boyfriend's going up here for the weekend. Like, come with me, girl. And she was like, yeah, no. Yes, constantly pressure that weak thing. Yo, I love that movie, by the way. Like, I know all the words. But yeah, it was just like, I just would love to see a different narrative around Black love, and not it always being tied to, I won't say always, but not so often being tied to this struggle, Bonnie and Clyde on the run type of thing. You know, like, why can't we just be regular people? Like, why does it have to be like this tragic thing that brings us together? Like, I think that's one of the things that I really like about, I was gonna say Love Jones, but then I'm like, Love Jones wasn't struggle love. So I guess that's a good example. But I feel like there's better, like, for example, okay, the movie that's coming out with Issa Rae and Lakeith Stanfield, like, that movie doesn't seem like it's rooted in struggle love. It seems like it's rooted in just pure, they fell in love, you know? And I think what's so interesting is that a lot of times with white predominantly white cast or movies without Black people, we see that it's not always tied to struggle. You know what I mean? Like, speaking of Lakeith Stanfield, right? There's this movie on Netflix called, what is it called? Oh gosh, I can't remember the name of that movie, but it's like him and this Latin woman, the girl that plays in Jane the Virgin. I think it's called like Love. No, it's not Love Is. It's something else. But even, okay, Love Is another example, right? Of struggle love. Like, they fell in love, but the guy was struggling and like the woman was successful. It's like that same dynamic all the time. And it's just like, it's just kind of exhausting sometimes. And I feel like it kind of perpetuates the same narrative and the same stereotype, which there's some truth to every stereotype, but it's like, can you give Black women hope that there is another way to fall in love, that it does not have to be rooted in struggle? Hi, Faye. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad. And hi, Rasha Daily. Thank you for tuning in. So yeah, I think I was just like, I just want to see something else. I want to see Black love that's not rooted in struggle. Is that too much to ask for? Like, can we get Black love that's just pure, genuine love? Like, I'm just kind of done. I'm done with struggle love. Like, it's like, okay. Cool. We're on the run together. We end up falling in love. Got it. But it's just like, I would love to see just Black people just being beautiful Black people where there's not a struggle, or, you know, I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, you guys seem like you understand what I'm saying, but that was something that kind of bothered me. Well, okay, so now I will talk about all the stuff that I loved about the movie, because I just shared 2 things that I didn't like. Some of this, I honestly, even though there was things that bothered me about the movie, overall, I loved it so much. Like, it felt like that was the first thing in a while that made me feel so moved and so compelled and so inspired in so many ways. Hands down, Melina is one of the most talented directors right now. Like, she is absolutely killing it. Like, her eye for cinematography is just, it literally, you feel like you are in the moment as it is happening. And if you guys have ever seen Insecure, you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to also pull up, just out of curiosity, so I can give you guys some references in case you've never watched Insecure, but I want to share some of the other things that Melina has directed, because it's just, she puts you in your feelings in the best way possible. So she's responsible for Insecure, Beyonce Formation, Master of None. She's responsible for We Found Love, right? Remember that video? I don't know if you guys remember that video, but that was, again, like, it made you feel something. Like, it took you to a place. Losing You by Solange, You the One by Rihanna, S&M by Rihanna, Ciara, Give Me That, Why Don't You Love Me, Beyonce, Rude Boy by Rihanna. Let's see. So many things. Work by Ciara, Carrie Hilson, Energy, Diva by Beyonce, Go Girl, Ciara, Closer by Neo, Solange, I Decided, Green Light, Kitty Cat, Upgrade You. Like, all of these classic Beyonce moments, Sugar Mama, Mario, How Do I Breathe, Eve, Tambourine. Like, that's just to give you an idea of some of the things that she's responsible for. So, hands down, she is amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Oh yeah, his name is Dan. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but his name is Daniel. That's the same guy that played in Get Out. He was the main character in that. But yeah, she is phenomenal. Like, she is a phenomenal director. And this movie, I literally felt like I was there with them, experiencing what they were experiencing. The lighting, the soundtrack. Can we talk about the soundtrack? I don't know if you guys have heard it, but please go and listen to this soundtrack. The soundtrack is so good. There is a song that they close the movie with that Lauryn Hill is on. Now, I don't know about you guys, but Lauryn Hill is one of my all-time favorite artists. She is absolutely amazing. And oh my gosh, you haven't seen Get Out? That movie is also very, very traumatizing, but it's a great movie. But Lauryn Hill has this song called Guarding the Gates on the soundtrack. And it is, woo! I mean, it brings me back to Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Like, it's just a vibe. It takes you there. Let's see, who else is on the playlist? We have, of course, Solange, Almeida, In a Sentimental Mood, which is another one of my favorite songs. Getting Late by Sid. A lot of Devontae Hines music. The Dream, like The Dream. Where has The Dream been? He has this song called Sadie's Benz, which is so good. Luther Vandross, Blood Orange, Mike Jones still tipping. Like it's just the soundtrack is a perfect mix of like alternative R&B Solange S vibe with like those classic hits that you haven't heard in mad long, and like a mix of new fresh sounds that are like alternative but still feel timeless, like Blood Orange and Devontae Hines. Like those are like those songs kind of, they feel nostalgic, but they're fresh and new music at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you guys have ever listened to Blood Orange or Devontae Hines or Roy Ayers or Sid, you probably know what I mean, but it's just a vibe. It's just a vibe. The playlist is so, so good. And the crazy thing is on Monday, I went out to this open mic thing and there was this group that performed. I had never heard of them before, but they performed and their song is actually on the playlist. Like they mentioned it when they were performing. I'm going to share the name of their group. Let me see if I can find it. So their song is actually called Queen and Slim. So it's the title track, and it's called Coast Contra. So like Coast, like West Coast, Contra, like contradiction. And it's featuring BJ, the Chicago Kid. The song is, I feel like that song, I understand why they named it the title of the movie, because it really kind of encompasses what the movie is about, which is legacy, which is the next thing I'm going to talk about. Personally, I feel like their music, it's like a fine line between deep and ratchet. Like it's like a mix of the two. So I resonated with them, seeing them live, because they really did. They were telling stories. They were talking about their stories, but they had some lyrics and some words that, some things that were just kind of like a little, not my cup of tea, like kind of like degrading women, but they were telling their story. So it was authentic. So I was like, okay, I can respect it, but I don't know if it's something I will bump on a regular basis. Megan Thee Stallion is also on the playlist. It's just a really well-rounded soundtrack. And I love movie soundtracks, but I love how they included like Duke Ellington and Moses, like I think it's Moses Sunny or Sunni, but like new artists and classic artists, Luther Vandross, and then you got Sid from the internet. It's just a great balance. Whoever put this together, kudos to you, because you killed the soundtrack. Like I love it. So yeah, that is one thing that I can say I absolutely love about the movie. Let's see. Something else, although the movie was kind of heavy, have you guys ever seen Fruitvale Station? Fruitvale Station is also a very heavy movie based on a true story with Michael B. Jordan. And I literally watched that movie once and I was like, I'm never watching this again, because I felt so hurt afterwards that I like didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, this is a true story. This really happened. There was no justice. And I don't know what to do with myself after seeing this movie. I just was sad. I literally cried for, I can't remember the guy's real name at the moment. I'm sorry. But the character that Michael B. Jordan was playing, I literally cried for him because I was just so sad. And I didn't know what to do. I was just like, I just feel like, what do we do after this? I'm not gonna lie. This movie kind of had that same ending where you're just like, So what do I do now? Now that I've watched this story, I've experienced such a tragedy. What do I do with myself? So I was literally just in shambles, crying again, just like, but I think this one, to my knowledge, is not based on a true story. It's a fiction story. And I think the other elements of it, like the soundtrack, the cinematography, even the comedic relief, like there was moments like the uncle, the very problematic uncle played by what's that guy's name? Oh gosh. Oh, I can't remember his name. Oh, it's gonna kill me to remember his name. Let me look it up. It's gonna kill me to remember his name. He's been in so many movies. What is his name? Hang on, I'm gonna look it up. He was very problematic though. He was like a pimp of some sort. Like he had all these women at his house. But he basically, the reason why Queen was not as close to her mom was like some troubled childhood stuff, but her uncle actually killed her mom. It was by accident, but that was actually her first case when she became a lawyer, that's crazy when you think about that. Was defending her uncle who accidentally killed her mom because he was drunk or high, and they got into a fight about her grandmother's house. He wanted to sell it, she wanted to rent it, or vice versa. And yeah, they got into a fight and he accidentally killed her. So he was very problematic for a lot of reasons. I cannot find, hang on, I'm sorry guys. What is this guy's name? He played, I want to say he played like Easy E or somebody. His name is Slim's father. No, where is he? Do you guys know who I'm talking about? I cannot find him for some reason. Like they're showing me everybody except the person I'm looking for. Bruh, I really want to know his name. Is it Bo Kim? Oh, yes, Uncle Earl. Why is the uncles always named Uncle Earl? Wasn't Uncle Earl in Friday too? Bo Kim Woodbine. He played in Jason's Lyric. He played in Spider-Man. I didn't know that. He played in Wu-Tang, Snowfall. He's in a bunch of stuff. Look him up if you guys don't know who I'm talking about. There's a particular movie that I'm thinking of that I can see his face in, but I can't think of it at the moment. And it's killing me to think of the movie that he played in. Soul Food. He was on the TV show Soul Food. That's not it though. That's not what I'm thinking of. Maybe it was Jason's Lyric. Dead Presidents. I think Dead Presidents is what I'm thinking of. Have you guys seen Dead Presidents? Dead Presidents is a classic, okay? With Lorenz Tate. Fine, Lorenz Tate. But yeah, he played in Dead Presidents, and I think that's what I'm thinking of. I haven't seen that movie in so long. Jason's Lyric, yeah. Yes, okay. I'm glad you knew who I'm talking about because it was killing me to figure it out. Yeah, trauma. True, literally trauma. So yeah, he was very problematic, but he also added some comedy to it. There was also some other characters in the movie that added some comedy, which was really cool to kind of break up all the stressfulness. Because I'm not even gonna lie, I actually felt like tense watching the movie at some points. Like my body felt tense. I was like, oh, like I watched half of the movie like this, and I had my hood on. Like I was sitting in the movie theater like. Because I was just so shook and I didn't know what was going to happen next. Like I was just on edge. So yeah, he was funny. Also the guy that dropped them off at the getaway plane that unfortunately they didn't make it to. He also was funny. So it was nice to have some breaks in the movie that I was covering my mouth like the whole time. But it was nice to have some breaks in the movie where it was just funny, you know, where you just laughed, or it was just like silly moments where I think both of the characters, Queen and Slim, realized at certain points that like they might not make it. So they just started living their lives. Like they stopped being so rigid and being like, oh, I'm not this person, I'm not that person. And they really started stretching beyond their boundaries of what they consider to be themselves. Like there was this one scene where they pulled over on the side of the road and she wanted to basically stop and like just spend a little time with the horses that were on the side of the road. Of course, though, if you see horses on the side of the road and they're gated, that means they're someone's property. So, you know, she stops and she's like petting the horse and he's like, what are you doing? Like, we need to keep going. And she's like, just give me a second. Like, I just want to stop. So they stop. She's petting the horse. And then he starts talking about how he's never ridden a horse before. And she's like, okay, well, you should do it one day. Like, I'll teach you. And then he's like, well, let's do it now. And she's like, no, what are you, crazy? Like, we have to go. You can't ride a horse right now. He was like, but like, he was kind of just like, this could be our last, this could literally, we could die. Like the cops can find us any minute. We could die at any minute. And I want to live my life. So he got on the horse and that was like funny because he was like awkward. He was like awkwardly sitting on the horse. And then like, the owner, of course, comes out and like, what the hell are you doing? Get off my property. So that was funny. It was like nice moments that made you laugh, but it was still tied into the movie in the sense of like, you know, they're on this journey together. They're exploring, they're learning about themselves, they're learning about each other, but they're also stretching beyond the dynamics of who they thought they were, which is actually really cool to see like the characters kind of evolve over time. Impending doom. So that was really cool to see. There was this one, oh my gosh, it was just so romantic. That's why I said it was like a romantic drama, because there were some parts where they were speaking, like I think he asked her what she wanted. And one of the things she says was that she wants someone to love her and to show her scars that she never had. And then I forgot everything else. I'm not even going to pretend like I know everything else she said, but that one line of she wants someone to show her the scars that she never knew she had. And then she went on about how she wants that person to love her even with those scars and yada, yada, yada. And I was just like, it was just so romantic and so beautiful. And I was just like, like, I felt like I was watching Love Jones for a second because it just got like so deep into the love side. And you can kind of see they were starting to fall for each other, which was really beautiful. Basically to see through her, to see all the parts of herself, everything about her, the good and the bad, and still be there to support her and accept her for exactly who she is, exactly like you just said. So that was really beautiful. And then he described what he wanted, and he was like, I want to ride or die. And she was like, oh, what does that even mean? And basically it's the same thing. It was just a more basic hood way of saying it. But yeah, so that was a really cute moment. So something else I wanted to talk about is really the idea of legacy, because I really think that's one of the big themes of the movie is legacy and like having a story to tell. Because in the beginning of the movie, when they were on their date, I believe, I think it was either on the date or when they were on the run, he was asking her about family and stuff like that, and she said she's not close to her family. And then she asked him about pictures, like something about like if he has pictures of himself and his family, and he was like, no, I don't need pictures. And she was like, and he was like, he's like, I know what I look like, I don't need pictures. And she was like, pictures aren't just about vanity, like it's about people knowing you existed. And he was like, my family knows I existed, and that's enough, right? And that was just really interesting that they were having that conversation in the beginning of the movie. And then like later on in the movie, while they were on the run, you know, they had some car trouble. They stopped at this car shop, and basically the community, the Black community, people that they saw along the way, majority of them recognized them, because this is like a nationwide manhunt at this point, because of course the cop had on a body cam and the videos all over social media. So everybody knows that these people are on the run. So they're stopping in all these remote towns, and the Black people were kind of in support of them, because in a way they thought that they were kind of like making a statement by killing this cop, when in reality it was really just self-defense. But a lot of Black people were viewing it as like, you're making a statement, you're fighting back, and we support you. So when they saw them in their towns, they didn't snitch on them. You know, they didn't like call the cops or anything. They were just like, hey, we respect what you did, like in a very low-key way. Like they like, we respect it, which was interesting. So yeah, they had some car trouble. They stopped at this mechanic, and there was a young boy there, the son of the mechanic, and he was like so hyped to see them. Like he was just like, oh my God, I can't believe you guys are here. Like I was just watching you on social media and now you're here. And the young kid, you could tell he was just very moved by what they were doing, to the point where it was like scary a little bit. Like I was concerned when they first met him. I was concerned that he was going to do something stupid, because he was really young and impressionable, and he really saw it as like, they're making a statement, they're fighting back. And I think his intentions were good, but he went about it in the wrong way. So he mentioned to them that they were having a protest the next day. And he was like, what's the protest for? And he was like, for you. He was like, we're protesting that they stop, that they, you know, that you guys are innocent and that they stop killing us and all this stuff. So when they were about to leave, Slim told him to take a picture of them. And that's like the picture of the cover that you see. So he took the picture. And again, it was like leaving that foundation of legacy, right? Like he finally took a picture when he went on about how he doesn't take pictures because it's not necessary. And then he started to see the importance of it as they were going through that journey. He started to realize that, you know, my life at this point is fragile and my time is limited, and I do want to have a legacy. So I'll share a little bit about the march. So they went to the march, and the young kid that I was talking about, he was like, I just felt like he was suicidal when he was talking to them. So when the march happens, you know, it's like the classic scene that we've seen so many times in history, where the cops are lined up with all their armor and all their weapons, and the Black people are protesting, and they meet in the center and they're face to face, and it's just like the tension is rising. You know, something tragic is about to happen. Like that situation was arising, and the young kid is like walking up to the march just with this determination, almost like this look on his face, like he just has like a mission. And it's scary to see. It was scary to see that, because this kid probably was playing like a 12, 13-year-old, maybe like 14 at the most. But he just had this look of like determination and focus. And it's like you just knew something bad was about to happen. So he's walking up to the crowd. He's walking through the crowds of people, walking through the people, shouting, guys, fist up, like, stop killing us, like all this stuff. And he gets directly to the front lines, and he's like yelling into the cops' face, like protesting and stuff. And the cops are just, you know, standing there yelling slurs back at them, like, you need to evacuate the area. You need to evacuate the area. Before you know it, a cop throws the smoke grenade into the crowd. Everybody starts running. Chaos breaks out. The classic scene that we've seen so many times in history of Black bodies being beaten and destroyed in the streets. And this kid is being beaten by this white cop that he was just yelling in his face 2 seconds ago. And he gets up and he's like, you know, fleeing the scene. And you think, okay, he's leaving the scene. Like everybody's running. He's walking away. And he stops. He turns around and he heads straight back towards the cops. And he's like, come on, come and get me. Like literally he's on a suicide mission. He's like, what are you gonna do? You gonna shoot me? You gonna shoot me? And it's a Black cop. It happens to be a Black cop. Black cop comes over to him and he lifts up his helmet thing. And he's like, son, he was like, I really need you to just evacuate the area. Just go. Like he's really trying to reason with him. He's like, I really just need you to go home. He's like, why? You gonna kill me? You gonna kill me out here? You gonna shoot me like everybody else? And he's like, no. He's like, I'm not. He's like, but I am gonna arrest you if you don't go home. Like he's really trying to reason with this kid. And this kid pulls out a freaking gun. Pulls out a gun. And the cop is looking at him like, what are you doing? He just looks so disappointed and so hurt. and so confused. And he's just like, don't do it. And he pulls the trigger. He literally pulled the trigger and shot this cop directly in the face, this black cop that was literally trying to reason with him. And that was just a lot. It was just a lot because it's like on one side, you understand why this kid is so furious and so determined and so like determined to make a point and determined to stand up. But it's also like you can like by the way he was talking the day before, you knew that he was on a mission to. It really sounded like he was on a suicide mission. I'm not even gonna lie. It sounded like he wanted to make a statement with his life. And it was just a lot. It was just a lot. And then they continue on the run, and the next day they find out that the kid was killed. Because of course you shoot a cop in the face in the middle of this riot and protest. We know what's next. They're not arresting him. We know that's not happening next. So that was just a lot. But on the theme of legacy, right? It was like that kid in a way was trying to make his mark and leave a legacy and stand up for something that he believed in, to the point where he sacrificed his own life to make that point. And I don't really know if that point was made, because it's like, I feel like it came from, it was like so much passion that he was blinded by ignorance. Like the ignorance overwhelmed his passion. And he's also very young and impressionable, right? So he didn't really know of another way to get that out through aggression, outside of aggression, which is just the sad reality for so many young Black people, period. It's like sometimes we feel like we don't have any other route except aggression, except protesting, it's so interesting because oftentimes, you guys know, if you follow me on like Instagram and stuff, I never talk about police brutality. I never talk about these type of social issues. I never ever talk about them. And the reason why I don't talk about them is because a lot of times I feel like once you start talking about them, people expect you to always have an opinion on stuff like that. And that's exhausting. And that's not what my platform or my content is about. But I also feel like sometimes I feel so hopeless in the situation that it's like, I don't know what to say. Reposting something, sharing a hashtag, putting up Black Lives Matters, to me, it feels like it doesn't do anything. So I'm just kind of like, I'm going to do my part of spreading positivity, spreading love, spreading God. And that's all I can do. But being involved in all the conversations about the mistreatment and the abuse and the prejudice and the racism, to me, it feels like it is falling on deaf ears. And it feels like my part in the situation, I think some people, their part is to fight, right? Their part is to be in the front lines. And other people, I feel like we all play a part in this, right? Some people have committed their lives to being in the front line, to being the person that's out there protesting and the person that's out there trying to make a difference with their actions in that way, like being involved in the trenches of what is happening. Whereas I feel like my part is to continue to spread love and positivity through my platform. And almost in a way creating like, there's all this craziness that's happening in the world, but when you come to my platform, you are escaping in a way, but you're escaping through positivity and not something negative. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of how I view it. And that's why I don't really speak on stuff like that often, because I don't feel like it's my part. And I don't feel like it's speaking of legacy, right? I think about that a lot, about legacy, and I think about like people remembering and knowing who you are, and not of the sense of like, I want to be known. It's more so like, I want to make an impact. I want to make a lasting impact. And I think about that sometimes, like with these videos, like how amazing is that going to be like years from now with like my niece who's like 6 now, or like kids who are like just being born this year, to be able to go back and to watch all these videos that all of us are putting online, sharing our journey, sharing our stories, sharing our passions, and being able to access that. Like, I feel like that's just so powerful. And I think that is true legacy. Like, I think about the people that I'm inspired by, like Tupac. I'm so inspired by Tupac. I don't know if you guys know this, but I love Tupac so much as a person, what he stood for, like outside of his music. Because I know people always have so much to say about his music. It was womanizing, all this other stuff. But as a person, if you really spend time listening to his interviews, he stood for unity. He stood for Black unity. He stood for community and love. And he inspires me so much. So like when I can go back and look at his interviews and his movies, I'm just so inspired by that. And I just think about sometimes, like, imagine all of the people years to come that are going to be able to watch this video, or to watch or listen to my podcast, or to watch my other vlogs, and to just be moved by something that I created, just sharing authentically. Yeah, I would love to hear what you guys think about legacy. Brenda had a baby. Yeah, I think that was, I don't know if that was his first video, but I think that was like his first big video. He had this song called Trapped. That was, I think, his first video that premiered in like the early 90s. It wasn't that great though, but it was like him in prison singing about how we're trapped. But yeah, the Brenda Had a Baby was definitely like one of the first ones that was really big. But yeah, this movie really just had me thinking a lot about legacy, because at the end, when they were trying to escape and they're literally walking up to the plane, it kind of reminded me of Set It Off, like that scene where Cleo is like this close to getting away, and the cops surrounding her, the helicopters, all that stuff. And she has that moment where she's in the car and she just like lights her cigarette, because she just knew that, like, okay, this is it. She was like, either I'm gonna go out in cuffs, or I'm gonna go out I'm gonna go out the other way. And she decided the other way. So she sits there, she's lighting her cigarette, and the music is playing that song, day after day. Like, so sad, such a moment, like such an iconic moment. And I think she went to like open the door and to like shoot at them, and they just started shooting at her. And then it was just like that scene. It kind of felt like that same energy in this movie, where cops surrounding them, the helicopters, get on the ground, get on the ground, get on the ground. And she just, honestly, they didn't even have weapons at that point. Like, Queen and Slim didn't have any weapons on them. They weren't about to like make a break for it, but they had decided, like, when she asked him, what do you want? He said, I want someone that's going to hold my hand forever. After he said the whole ride or die thing, he's like, I want somebody that's going to hold my hand forever. And at the end of it, they look at each other, and she's like, I'm not going to let go of your hand, or I'm never letting go of your hand. And I forgot what he said back to her, but of course, tension's rising. The cops are yelling, get on the ground, get on the ground. Mind you, they don't have any weapons, nothing. They're just standing there. They don't have any bags in their hand. They just have the clothes on their body, holding hands, their other hands completely empty. And this this woman just like, I just wanted to smack this cop. She shoots Queen. She shoots her in the neck. And she dies almost instantly. And he's just stunned, just like completely stunned. Everything just goes silent. He can't even hear what's going on around him anymore. All he sees is her bleeding out. And he bends over to like hold her just for 1 second. And he picks her up. And he starts walking towards the cops. Mind you, both of his hands are full because he is carrying this dead woman that they just shot in front of him that he just fell in love with. And they shoot him as he's walking towards the car. Why did they shoot her? I have no idea. Why did they shoot him? I have no idea. But the symbolism was so interesting because the guy in the movie was very spiritual. Like there was moments where Marvin Sapp is on the playlist, and I think it was Never Would Have Made It was playing at one point, like right after it happened, and he was like, this is the only thing that keeps me calm. And she's like, can you turn this down? Like, and he's like, no, like I don't care. I'm leaving it on. And he had a cross on. His license plate said "Trust God." So it was like he was clearly a very spiritual person, and it was interesting because when they died, when she was shot and he was carrying her and then he got shot, their bodies literally fell on top of each other in a cross. And it was like the zoom out camera. It was beautiful. It was tragic, but it was beautiful. The cinematography just, yeah. So yeah, and at the end of it, she said, it was one line she said about legacy. Oh, he asked her, after she said, I'm never letting go of your hand, she asked him, she said, can I be your legacy? And that's when the cop shot her, right? As soon as she said that. And yeah, it was powerful. It was really, really powerful. It was a powerful film. I think I covered everything I wanted to talk about. I barely ate my food. This was not much of a mukbang. But yeah, if you guys have any thoughts about legacy, I would love to hear them. But I think about that often. I'm just, as you can see, I'm still kind of shook. I'm not gonna lie, I'm still very shook. And I think I'm gonna be in deep thought about this movie for a while. It was just so layered. I can tell. Let's see what my fortune says. Probably something dumb. Speaking of fortunes, I watched Freaky Friday the other day with the Disney premium joint. I don't know if you guys seen that movie. That's a classic though. That's funny. It says a new relationship is about to blossom. Right. So yeah, that's my thoughts about the movie Queen and Slim. I'm guessing no one else has seen it yet. And Lene is the only person chatting with me. Thank you, Lene, for chatting with me. How about those lottery numbers? There's lottery numbers in it? Oh no, this one doesn't have any numbers. It says legendary horse statue stand guard at PF Chang's entrance as a symbol of strength. Okay. Yeah, there's not any numbers. I know usually fortune cookies have numbers on them, but well, that's my thoughts for now. I don't have anything else to say. I'm shocked. This is cold again, so I'm gonna go heat it up. But thank you guys for tuning in. I've had a very long day, very busy day. Oh, I have a question. Have you guys been enjoying the vlogs that I've been posting lately? I have probably like 2 more left of the LA vlog series that I'm going to post. And then after that, they'll probably just be sporadic if I have something interesting to share. But the next two are gonna be like a continuation of the story. Yeah, just two more. I might still do vlogs in the future, but like as a part of this journey that I was on, from moving here up until now, it's kind of ending because I recorded all of that from July up until like October. So that's it. Like once I got to October, I kind of stopped. I still recorded small stuff here and there, but I kind of stopped because I was like, okay, this feels like the end of a chapter. Like, and I wanted to just not worry about having to edit all of that, especially because I had just started a new job. I was like, I'm not gonna have time to continue with all these vlogs. I need to stop for a second. What's up with that shirt? This shirt? This sweatshirt? I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but my last post will tell you more about this sweatshirt. um, but yeah, I'm glad that you're enjoying the vlogs. And like I said, I'm posting a few more about my LA journey. And then I have some other stuff that I want to talk about, which is why I thought this was so funny about the relationship, because I'm actually going to be talking a lot about being single and being a Christian and what that has been like. So that's why I was chuckling when I saw that, because I was like, yeah, that feels very far from what from where we are right now. But I'm going to be talking a lot about that in the future. So if you have any questions or topics you want me to cover, send me a DM on Instagram. That's probably the best because that's where I'm the most active. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Lene, shout out to you for chatting it up with me in the comment section. If you're watching the replay later, thank you for watching. Share with me your thoughts in the comment section. I'll come back and read them. We can still converse. I was about to say conversate. Converse. We can converse later. I'll come back and look at the comments. But yeah, have a good night. Have a happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate Thanksgiving. I'll see you guys soon. I'll see you in some upcoming vlogs. And yeah, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Have a blessed one.